twice and Mexico many times. I love the excitement of exploring new places, and it does not have to be somewhere extravagant. For example, I travel quite a bit for work, and it is just exhilarating finding quaint little towns in Georgia that I have never heard of. Monty lives in Marietta with his wife of 8 years and 3 kids. Monty has worked at Atlantic Coastal Consulting for several years as a geologist, which he loves because it combines two of his passions, science and nature. Tonight, Monty is going to tell us about how science and nature can show us that small events can have a very important impact. So stay tuned to find out how sand and a distant desert and ice from a remote ocean may have a significant impact on your life. With his speech titled, Small Event, Big Impact, please help me welcome Monty Jones.
Have any of you out there just felt like you're not making the impact that you want to be making? I see some of you are nodding your heads, and probably all of us have felt like that at one time or another. I've certainly felt like that. But I know that when I feel like that, it's because I'm neglecting to take the time to pay attention to the little things in my life. Because, sometimes it's those little things that can have the biggest impact. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Tonight, I think that we can take an example from science and nature to really illustrate how little things can be something truly magnificent. At this very second, there are literally thousands of satellites orbiting this Earth, gathering vast amounts of information. And scientists have been able to put this information together and figure out that the Earth's ecosystem is much more interconnected than previously thought. For example, in the Sahara Desert of Africa, there are ancient dry lake beds that are laden with phosphorus-bearing marine microfossils. Phosphorus. It's the same stuff that's in your bag of fertilizer down at your local Home Depot. Well, about noon every day, the westerly winds pick up, and they kick up hundreds of thousands of tons of this fertile soil into the air, where it hitches a ride on the trade winds and travels all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to the Amazon rainforest in South America. Now, when it gets there, it actually gets dissolved into the rain clouds, and then it sprays down on the forest, just like Miracle-Gro, delivered by Mother Nature herself. So it's actually fertilizing the Amazon forest. You might say, well, who cares, right? But we actually get half of the oxygen we breathe from processes that happen in the Amazon rainforest. So it's kind of a big deal. So I just want to take a second, because this is a truly magnificent event. I mean, you have this sand over here in a desert in Africa where nothing can grow. And it's being transported over 6,000 miles to the Amazon forest where it can certainly use it. It's super lush, right? And then in turn, it's creating some of the oxygen that we breathe here in America. I mean, I just find it truly fascinating. It's amazing. Yet another example, and this is counterintuitive, but ice in Antarctica is actually responsible for the process that moderates the temperature of the Earth. You see, in Antarctica, in the wintertime, the surrounding sea ice freezes. And when it does that, it releases its salt in the form of a very dense and cold brine. It's much more dense than the surrounding seawater. As a result, it sinks over 2 miles all the way to the ocean floor. This is the only place in the world that this happens. Now, when it gets there, it kind of collects, and it starts to flow down submarine valleys and draws. And this is actually the origin of the ocean currents. So this seemingly minute, simple process is actually the engine that drives about 350 quintillion gallons of water. For reference, that's a 350 with 18 zeros behind it. In layman's terms, that is a lot of water. So this process is responsible for driving the ocean currents and delivering warmth to all reaches of the earth, making life as we know it possible. Which brings me to last weekend. I took all 3 of my kids up to the North Georgia mountains. Maybe you all have been there before. It's Vogel State Park near Blairsville. It's a really nice place. I highly recommend it. But we got a little cabin up there, stayed there a couple days. And one afternoon, we went on a little nature hike. And the guide taught us all about the different uses of different plants and trees to the Cherokee Indians. And it was really interesting. Did you know that the inner bark of the dogwood tree can be used as a fever reducer and can cure migraines? A red maple leaf, you can crush it up in some water. It actually relieves a burn and will help keep it from getting infected. The twig of a black birch tree, if you chew on it, if you dare to, it actually tastes like wintergreen gum. It's amazing stuff. But what is even more amazing, my oldest son, Quinn, who's 7 years old, came up to me afterwards and he said, get this, he says, Dad, you know, nature's kind of cool, man. That's what I've been trying to tell you all this time. So here I was just trying to carve out some time to actually just get my kids off the dang video games for one weekend. But it turns out that little event is going to have a much larger, lasting impact than I originally thought. So you got the sands in Antarctica, right? You got the ice and brine, you got the sands in the Sahara, you got the ice and brine down in Antarctica, and you got me taking my kids to the North Georgia mountains for the weekend. Any one of these events, in and by themselves, not really a big deal, right? No impact. But if you take a step back and you look at the bigger picture, you'll see that each one of these events propagate out into something that is truly magnificent. Magical even, right? So I challenge each and every one of you tonight to launch the proverbial satellite around your life. Are you making the impact you want on those around you? Because at the end of the day, we may not be able to change the world, but we certainly can have a positive impact on it each and every day. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Let's go back to the center. Our next speaker